Hey there, 1 minute here. In early 1998, an emancipated Texas inmate named Stephen J. Russell was granted a special parole, one which put him in the custody of a hospice. Russell's medical records clearly spelled out the reason. He had HIV or AIDS and was not likely to survive much longer. Shortly thereafter, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice received a death certificate alerting them that Russell was dead. But a few weeks later, Russell was arrested. Stephen J. Russell was born in 1957, if you believe his birth certificate. There's no actual reason to doubt the authenticity of the document, but a fake birthday or year would hardly be the most audacious lie Russell has ever told. His first major one, and first known criminal one for that matter, occurred in the early 1990s when he faked a slip and fall hoping for a payday. His ruse was uncovered and he was convicted of fraud, sentenced to 6 months in prison. That sentence was far too long for him, so he left. Russell's boyfriend was dying of AIDS, actually, and Russell wanted to be with him for his last few days. So, 4 weeks into his prison sentence, Russell impersonated a prison guard and had stolen some discarded street clothes and walked out to freedom without much difficulty at all. He'd later be recaptured and finished out his new sentence, but not before he had met a new romantic partner. A man named Philip Morris. No actual connection to the tobacco company. Russell, despite having no meaningful relevant experience and fraud conviction, landed a job as the chief financial officer for a medical management firm. Being extremely unqualified for this position perhaps, Russell decided to cash out while he could. With Morris's help, he embezzled $800,000 before he was caught. Russell was indicted along with a bond set at $950,000 given his obvious escape risk. He had already busted out of prison once prior and it looked like he wouldn't set freedom anytime soon. But Russell had another trick up his sleeve. He called the court clerk claiming to be the judge in his case and over the phone reduced his own bail to $45,000. That was a manageable amount and Russell paid the bond and fled to Florida with now 2 escapes on his back. He tasted freedom for a week before a manhunt that eventually led to him being recaptured. He was brought to trial on embezzlement charges and was convicted. Russell again was on his way to prison, but this time for a much longer period of 45 years. Morris was also sent to prison, but for a much shorter time period and with a reasonable bail that allowed Morris to temporarily avoid incarceration. Russell wanted to be with Morris, so you may be sensing a pattern here. Stephen J. Russell left lockup for the 3rd time in a row. Once again, Russell decided to impersonate someone in power, this time a doctor. Russell produced a bunch of green markers and an extra generic prison uniform. Supposedly he had used dye in the markers to make the uniform look like a pair of doctor scrubs, and he surprisingly made an easy escape. Despite the fact that Russell was being held in a maximum security prison, he was able to walk right out of the front gate. Apparently, the prison guards and medical staff did not know each other all that well. Russell then again connected with Morris, and the couple made their way to Mississippi, where they would ultimately be captured again. Russell was tried for unlawful escape, and this time another 45 years were added to his sentence. Russell didn't give up though. Instead, he gave a more creative "why be the doctor when you can be the patient? And why be alive and on the lam when you can pretend to be dead?" No one realistically orders manhunts for a corpse. He set his plan for motion almost immediately after his recapture in Mississippi. While he awaited trial for his escape, Russell abused laxatives in order to drop a lot of weight in a short period of time. He also managed to doctor his medical records during that period, noting falsely that he had HIV. Looking sickly with the papers to back it up, in March of 1998, he was sent to a hospice. Given the understandably low security, he left pretty easily and left the state shortly thereafter. Once clear of the Texas authorities, Russell sent a fake death certificate to the Texas courts. He was finally home free. Except that not everyone believed that he was dead. In this case, officials checked to make sure that he was actually dead this time, finding, in fact, that he was not. Eventually, officials tracked him to Florida and convicted him yet again of escape for what was the last time. Russell is now serving a 144-year sentence, 45 for the embezzlement, 99 for the 2 escapes. Even though his crimes, including the escapes, were non-violent, Russell spends his days in solitary confinement for 23 hours of a day, with an hour left for recreation and a shower. And in 2009, Russell's story was actually turned into a movie titled I Love You, Philip Morris, starring Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay curious.